Hello, this is John from TC Math Academy, and what I have for you here is a very easy problem, but a lot of people are going to get it wrong because it's often the simple things that we get kind of confused with, right? So, just because something's easy or simple doesn't mean you're always going to remember how to do something in math. And from my experience, this type of problem is something that kind of falls into that category of something being easy, but just tends to confuse a lot of people. But let me go ahead and tell you what the problem is. We have a line right here, and we have some coordinates or some points on the line. What I want you to do is to write the equation of the line. What is the equation to this line? And this information right here is all you need to know to answer this question. And this particular question would be something that you would see like at the pre-algebra, certainly the algebra 1 level. We're not talking about super advanced math here. So if you can figure this out, go ahead and put your answer into the comment section. I'm going to show you the correct answer in just 1 second. Then we're going to have a nice quick little discussion on linear equations and the equations of lines. This is really important stuff. Also, if you need math help with the course you're taking, test prep or homeschooling, make sure to check out my math help program at tcmathacademy.com. You can find a link to that in the description below. And if this video helps you out, don't forget to like and subscribe, as that definitely helps me out. Okay, so hopefully, this wasn't a trick problem. You're like, oh, I got this. This is easy. I know exactly what to do. So again, we want to find the equation of this line that passes through these 2 points. What is that equation? Well, let's go and take a look at the answer right now. The answer is the following. Y is equal to 4. Okay, that is the equation to that line. And if you got this right, that is fantastic. Matter of fact, let's go and celebrate by giving you a nice little happy face, an A plus, a 100%, and multiple stars. You can tell your friends and family that indeed you understand the difference between the equations of lines when they are horizontal, vertical, and slope, okay, angled lines, okay. And in algebra, when you think about graphing lines or the equations of lines, we have to think about things like in y equals mx plus b form, right? Things like y is equal to 2x plus 5. And we kind of forget about these simpler lines. And when you need to kind of recall that information, a lot of people end up getting confused. So if you got a little bit confused, maybe you said the equation was x is equal to 4. Well, don't panic. We're going to review this right now. This is easy and simple, but it doesn't mean that you're always going to remember it unless you review this stuff from time to time. All right, so here is the problem. Now, this particular problem, the way I kind of wrote it, I didn't even put this on an XY coordinate plane. I just drew a line and put 2 coordinates on it. Now, if I wanted to be extra tricky, I could have just drawn the line this way. Okay, and I could have put the same coordinates on an angle line. That could throw some students off, but I'm not that mean when it comes to being a math teacher. I can, come up with all kinds of creative math problems to confuse students, but that's the point of this video. The point is to get you to write the equations of lines. So let's just kind of review this real quick. So in algebra, we're talking about lines, the equation of lines. What are we talking about? Well, a few things here, right? So when you first start learning algebra, you start learning how to graph lines, right? So there's two big skills. The first is you learn how to graph the equations of lines, and then you learn how to write the equations of lines. So, for example, you might be given a line like y equals 2x plus 1. How do we graph that? Well, hopefully you see that this is following the pattern y equals mx plus b. So, okay, I go 1 here, then I go 2 over here, over 1. Now, I'm not teaching you this. I'm just kind of reviewing some stuff that hopefully you know, and that's a poor sketch of a line, but hopefully you get the idea. So, again, when you study algebra, you kind of first learn how to graph points, graph lines. So you're given the equation and you learn how to graph that, what we call a linear equation on an XY coordinate plane. Okay, so typically, most students kind of remember, how to graph two variable linear equations. Okay, I'll say this again. two variable linear equations, i.e. two variables. The variables are y and x. So these are two variable, okay, equations, linear equations, and two variable linear equations are going to, be on some sort of angle. Okay, you're going to be thinking about, oh, what kind of slope does it have? What's its m, value? M is going to be the slope of that line. So this line is a positive slope. You could have lines going in this direction, have a negative slope. So typically, this is what a lot of students kind of remember, okay? But before you got into graphing two variable linear equations, what you learned was how to graph a one variable linear equation, okay? So let's say I gave you the equation y equals, let's say 3. I'm sorry, x is equal to 3, okay? Let's graph x is equal to 3. So how do we do that? Well, it's not going to have a slope per se, okay? So x is equal to 3 is either going to be a vertical line that goes through 3, or it's going to be a horizontal line that goes through 3 on the y-axis, or it goes this right here, this vertical line goes through 3 on the x-axis, and this is where students get confused. They're like, I kind of forgot that. Which is it? Is it vertical or horizontal? So basically, the two things that students tend, again, to confuse, it's, not that they're bad students, it's just you don't really do a lot of these problems. In the beginning you do, but you really, kind of get into the more interesting two variable lines. So we have x is equal to a number and y is equal to a number, which is which. How do we graph these? Well, let's go ahead and just quickly review this right now. So x is equal to 3, okay, is a line, a vertical line. And along this line right here, any point on that line, it's, of course, we're talking about any coordinate on a line or anywhere on the xy plane is a xy coordinate, an xy order pair, right? So in other words, if I said graph the point 1, 5, or plot the point 1, 5, you would go 1 on x and you go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that would be the coordinate 1, 5, right? The order pair 1, 5. But here, when we have a vertical line, okay, what we're saying is that x is equal to 3, all your x's are going to be 3. So this right here might be the 0.33. This point right here might be the 0.32. This point right here would be the 0.3, -1. Right here you might have 3, -3. If we notice here, right, again, we have x, y order pairs. X is the first value, right? Then y, it's an ordered pair. All the x's are 3. So we have x is equal to 3. And then we all if we plot, all these points where x is equal to 3, you're going to end up with a vertical line that goes through x, through 3 on the x-axis. Okay, so vertical lines are going to be x equals a number, and you guessed it, horizontal lines are going to be the other direction. Okay, they're going to be this way, right? I mean, they're going to be using the variable y. So this would, right here, would be like an example of y equals -2. Okay, so now let's go back to our problem here. And we can see clearly that we're dealing now here with a horizontal line. Now I drew it as horizontal, but if we plotted these points on the xy xy plane, we can just kind of plot this out. Like here's 5, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we would plot that point there, and then -2, 4. We got -2, 4 right here, and we draw a line. And you can see what's going on here. We have a line that's going through 4 here and 4 here. So this is a y equals 4 line. That's the equation of this line. So if I told you write the equation of this line, this would be a horizontal line because the line is going through 4. Okay, not only in these two coordinates, but any coordinate along this line, like this point right here, for example, would be like what? 1, 2, 2, 4. Okay, this point over here might be something like negative, no, I'll just make something up, -6, 4. Again, we are talking about x, y points, and the y value for y equals 4, the y value is always going to be 4. 4 here, 4 here, 4 here, and 4 there. So I took some extra time to kind of, explain this extra thoroughly, okay? So if you get confused about x equals lines or y equals lines, you can kind of reconstruct this and say, oh, okay, what's going on here? It's horizontal, or what's going on here? It's vertical. Okay. Now, one last thought on this is here, horizontal lines have a slope of 0. Okay, there is an flat line, so it's a slope of 0. And vertical lines have what kind of slope? Okay, so if I ask you what kind of slope does this line have right here, or what's the slope of the line x is equal to 3? Well, the slope is undefined. Okay, there is no slope for vertical lines, right? It's called undefined, so there is no slope. Horizontal lines are 0, and then of course all these lines are two variable linear equations like this. You can have positive slopes, negative slopes, and that's a whole nother conversation in and of itself. So if you need help with linear equations and this kind of basic stuff, check out my pre-algebra course. Also, I have additional videos on my YouTube channel as well. But pre-algebra is kind of where you first start learning this. Okay, and don't feel bad if you got confused on this. A lot of people do. Doesn't make you a bad math student. But what you want to do is review these basic, simple things, okay? And that's why you have to take great notes, study all the time, and nothing is more important in terms of learning mathematics to actually practicing mathematics by doing problems, okay? So if you want to learn math, do more math problems. Okay, so with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time, and have a great day.